So normally I try to do berries in the morning and I try to find time to sit out here and munch on them, but it is evening now because the lighting is better for you guys, so you're welcome. So as you can see in my basket, I've got mostly raspberries and just a couple of strawberries. Interestingly, the raspberries are ramping up and the strawberries are already kind of dwindling down. I didn't have nearly as many strawberries this year as I did last year because I was stubborn, because it wasn't raining and I was like, surely it'll rain. I don't have to water. And then it didn't. And then a lot of my strawberry plants died. So earlier this year, what I did when I saw that I did not have that many strawberries is I bought 50 more strawberry plants and then planted them out. And I would say about 2/3 of those actually are still alive. Some of them were just kind of bad. Like sometimes when you get bare root strawberries, not all of them live, and that's pretty normal. But yeah, I've got about like 35 strawberry plants new at least. So it has been a bit since you guys saw the garden, and things are growing so fast. In particular, there are two things that I'm seeing that I thought were completely dead. Turns out they are fine, and in, stereotypical Rachel style, I was freaking out over nothing. It's kind of my goal to sit out here as much as possible when temperatures allow, because of course in South Carolina it's already swelteringly hot during the day. I was out for like 5 minutes earlier today and the sun beating down on my back was just horrible. So that's why we waited until sunset. But yeah, I just want to take the time to actually enjoy my garden this year. I got really bogged down in the work last year, and so I'm intentionally making time to just sit here and eat my berries and enjoy what I've built. Even just coming out here and thinking what I'm going to show you guys, I'm already noticing like even more stuff than I already knew was here. For example, my lavender plant is starting to flower. I actually grew this entirely from seed, and it has been a long process, but this is so exciting. All right, so y'all remember this trellis here at the front. First of all, the grapes are deciding that this is going to be their trellis, even though I built them a trellis. But there's not a whole lot I can do to stop them. There's actually a ton of grapes growing in here. But the interesting thing, we're going to walk around to the outside here. Check this out. This is one of my scarlet runner beans. I would have sworn up and down that these things were dead. I really thought they would come back sooner. And I even think that like this spot has been mowed over. But here it is. I've got one on this side and another one right here. So that's at least 2 more than I thought I was gonna have. I do still think I might plant some more fresh beans though. And it's really encouraging to see that they just like kind of came up through all these weeds and mess and stuff without me having to really dig them out. Now on the tomato row, we also have some beans. These are my blue cocoa beans, and this one right here is one of my volunteers. I think my plants tend to drop seeds at the end of the season, and this one came up exactly where I wanted it. If we look down the rest of the row, we can see the garlic is getting really close to time to pull it. We've got at least 1 brown leaf down here at the bottom. Maybe 2. Yeah, I think that's a dead leaf right there. So I can start checking these very soon. I think I'm going to let them die back just a touch more. And the tomatoes, the ones that survived that freeze, they are actually starting to grow. And this one, you can see it's putting on suckers. So it's about time to start thinking about pruning these guys. Additionally, I might start trying to use these suckers to make more tomato plants. I have a whole video explaining how to do this, but basically some of the cuttings you take from your tomatoes can just be put in water, rerooted, and then they will become whole new tomato plants. And because I did lose some of them to that weird late frost that happened literally the night that I planted them outside because I was not thinking, I didn't check the weather, I am going to have to repopulate some of this row. But I also have some that I planted from seed as soon as I found out that that was happening. And we're going to kind of see which one of those methods actually replaces my tomatoes faster. Like, look at this one. This one's looking so healthy. And there's a sucker right there. There's another one. There's another one. This one could be 3 new tomato plants already. Meanwhile, from here onward, I do not have any more tomato plants that survived. Unfortunate, but we do have more volunteer beans. This one is so tall already. Look at that. This thing, once it starts vining, it grows like 6 inches, 12 inches a day, depending. It's crazy. And this was another volunteer. And take a look at how tall my marshmallow is getting. Let me show you guys. This marshmallow is just about as tall as me. This is like 5 foot tall marshmallow plant right here. Another exciting development is that my walking onions are finally showing themselves. I think I planted these here and then forgot about them, and luckily I noticed them when I was doing all this mulching. But maybe in a year or 2 I will have a cool little patch of walking onions in this area. And while we're on the subject of onions, these are my potato onions. They're making teeny tiny blooms now, and they seem to have split quite nicely down there. So I'm actually gonna have to go Google when I should be harvesting these, because at the moment I don't really know. So all along here, in addition to the garlic you can see running down the middle, we also have a lot of peppers and my eggplants. And these actually got kind of destroyed by the hail a few weeks ago. You can still see some of the damage here on the lower leaves that were pummeled. And then the newer ones are looking slightly better. You can see that again here on this pepper, some really shredded leaves, and then the newer ones looking a little bit better. The peppers and eggplant are really in this stage where they're about to grow a lot. Like they're putting on some new leaves here and there, but I bet you in 2 weeks these things will have doubled in size. I also came through the other day and actually planted out all the ginger and turmeric that I had started indoors. So that is kind of randomly placed around the garden right now in places where I felt like it wouldn't really get in the way. These pom-poms right here, these are onion flowers if you've never seen them. They are so gorgeous, and that's going to be so many seeds that maybe I'll end up using. Next to it, the valerian is starting to go to flower. Isn't that gorgeous? And the feverfew is starting to flower as well. This one looks a lot like chamomile to me, but if you look at the leaves, you can tell it's quite different. So you can see that this half of the garden has been like mulched and curated for the year, and this half is still kind of wild, and that is because I have not yet had the time to fully plant out everything that needs to go in here. It is getting a little bit on the late side for me, but I am blessed with a very long growing season, so we're gonna work on it, and hopefully the next time you see it, I will have done all of this too. This trellis right here looks pretty barren at the moment, but very soon it will be covered in my noodle beans. These things always take a long time to get started. They stay in this like little baby seedling stage for a very long time, and it makes them really vulnerable to things like pill bugs, which do like to come in and eat them. But as soon as they start really putting out a vining arm, they're gonna grow so fast, just like those other beans, like a foot a day. Something I need to do is come in and harvest all of this plantain. If you haven't seen my most recent Weeds with Worth episode, I talk all about the benefits of this plant, and it decided this year that this was where it wanted to be in my garden, and I haven't weeded it yet because I'm like, oh, I need to harvest it, and so I need to find time to actually take it out instead of just stomping it down, and that's why it's taking just a little bit longer. All right, coming around into this area, this kiwi right here, it's doing really well, but you can see this stem right here that broke. That was more of the hail damage, so the entire like tip of the vine came off, and it had to redirect its energy for a little bit and then start putting out another vine tip. So that took it a while. That set it back quite a bit because again, this was also growing so fast. The grapes, they did get their leaves a little bit shredded, but all in all, I think they fared a little bit better. And you can see they're growing pretty fast. There's already multiple leaves out that show no signs of that shredding. And this particular plant has the only baby grapes in my whole yard right now. Look at those right there. I'm so excited to have baby grapes. I wasn't really expecting any this year. We're gonna come up on the original herb bed here. And I wanna show you guys something that happens every single year. This thyme plant right here, once I get close to it, you'll see it is covered in what looks like houseflies. They are just everywhere. They love these flowers. And they're actually pretty good pollinators for this plant. In a lot of places, flies are actually out there pollinating before the bees are even awake. They like to come out at like slightly cooler temperatures, so they're a really important pollinator to have as part of your garden. These carrots that I left to go to seed, they are doing exactly that, and they are obviously very, very tall. That's the flower head coming on right there, and yeah, they are raised up from the ground a bit, but look how high above my head this thing is. And the Greek oregano is thriving. I do absolutely nothing to take care of this plant other than just like cut it back with scissors all the time. These ones down here are actual chamomile, and it looks like they're just now starting to put on flowering heads. Another thing that's like exploded overnight is the sunchokes, the Jerusalem artichokes. You can still see some remnants of that hail damage here, but look how much it's grown since then. They're getting so tall, and this is going to be so much healthier than I had last year. I anticipate something like 4 or 5 times the amount of harvest that I had last year. I think the last time you guys saw the corn, it was like this big, and now look at it. It's getting so big. There's also a couple of pumpkin plants in here. So far, so good. No signs of squash bugs, but you know, it's still early. I have also been having to try and save these beans that are in here from the roly-polies, from the pill bugs. You can see some of the carnage here from the diatomaceous earth I've been using. And still, even with all of that, they are getting munched on. I must have planted like, I don't know, 20 beans in this bed, and I can only find 5 live plants. They seem to really, really like the beans, but they left the corn alone. Oh, and of course the yarrow is starting to flower. Actually, check this out. Pretty sure that's a ladybug. There are like false ladybugs around here too, but they're all like very, very similar genetically anyway, so it doesn't really matter. They're also all invasive, I learned recently. Check out this calendula blossom. I think this variety is neon or something like that. Look at the dark underneath the petals. Oh, that is gorgeous. All right, and if we walk over here near where I was picking the berries earlier, this bed right here, this is all of my sweet potatoes. You can see they're starting to vine out pretty heavily at this point. And this is another one of those that is gonna just feel like it doubles in size every single time you look at it. This bush over here, this is the St. John's wort. This is actually taking over. I'm having to dig out some of my smaller blueberries from it. It's doing a really good job at its job of being ground cover. I will say that. I would rather have St. John's wort overrunning my beds than grass. And here's another one of those little red bugs. There you are. Oh, it flew away. So you'll want to hear a funny story. I was out of town last week, and my partner, he was here picking some of the berries because somebody's got to have the berries, right? And he looked at this plant and he said to me, what is that? What is that succulent that you have growing in your berry patch? And I'm like, succulent? I don't remember planting a succulent. And he's like, yeah, it's huge. And like, you know, the leaves look like big and juicy and hollow. And I'm like, I'll have to come home and look at that. This is what he was talking about. Now, I can really honestly see why somebody would look at this and think that this is a succulent. But this is just a really big onion that's going to seed. Here's its flower top right here. It's going to be a pom-pom very soon. And so to be fair, that onion doesn't really belong there. It was a volunteer or left over from a time when I planted onions in this area. I don't really remember. But it is the only one, so it really does stick out. All right, now you did not see me picking any blackberries because they haven't quite started to ripen yet. I think this one might be the first one to actually fully ripen, and it's a little lopsided on the ripening there. But if you just back out and look, you can see all the berries I'm about to have. Like, holy cow. A quick check on the rhubarb. It's actually looking really great. This one looks the best. It looks the most like rhubarb in my opinion. You can even see kind of the color on the stem down there. I am not harvesting this year. I'm gonna let it come up. It's gonna die back in the winter, and then it's gonna come back stronger in the spring, and that's when I'm gonna look at harvesting it for the first time. Not just a ton of change to report in this area. These like bigger tree adjacent plants are gonna be growing a little bit slower than all of the other stuff. Definitely the strawberries that I put in this area are coming up, and all the weeds are filling in too, so that's great. Yay. But this one fig that really struggled to come back, it's looking pretty good at this point, so I'm happy with that. The pomegranate's leafing out. My Carolina allspice is leafing out. The only thing I'm still concerned about is the citrus. These have a little bit of yellowing on the leaves, and I'm not really sure what else I need to give them to make them happy. This one that's been dealing with the iron deficiency, it is slowly getting better. Like these little ones, these little leaves used to be entirely pale yellow, and now they're looking pretty green compared to some of these. I'm hoping that it will just continue getting better on its own. I will maybe apply, iron to it one more time. Okay, so we are almost to the end of the tour, and I have to show you the second thing that I feel like came back from the dead. So this is my elderberry, of course. We knew that was fine. But this fig that I would have sworn it was dead. Look at it. It's putting out leaves. I almost dug it up to put in this raspberry, which was a gift from my grandmother. Thank you, Grandma. And yeah, I was like, oh, I should put it in where the dead fig is. And then I bent down to look, and it had little baby leaves. So that's really exciting. If you're watching this and it is next year already, pop on over to my most recent video and remind me not to worry about the figs. They're obviously gonna be fine. All right, so I have some berries to finish, but I want you to tell me in the comments, what are you most excited about this time of year with your garden? Like, what are you seeing out there that's making you want to go out there every single day and check on it? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing about that kind of stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, happy gardening.